What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. This is Web Dev Journey, and on this video we're going to be doing MongoDB and Redis. Alright, so we're going to do quite a bit, so it's going to be a long video once again, but yeah, let's just get right into it. Okay, guys, so first thing I'm gonna do is actually do MongoDB, connecting to it and all that stuff. And actually I'm going to be using Docker to host my Mongo instance. You can use whatever you want, but I'm using Docker so that way I don't have to mess around with anything else, right? So if you're following along and you're doing Docker, then just run Docker run, and then if you want to provide a name, provide a name. I did. I'm gonna call mine Mongo Twitter, so that way I know that this instance is from Mongo or the Twitter application. And I just rerouted my ports. I'm just doing 37017 instead of the default 27017. So I'm just mapping those. You could take this out if you just want to map it 27017 and leave it like that. And we're going to be running the Mongo instance. And once you hit that, you should grab or get a instance right here. I already have an instance running with Mongo Twitter being the name. All right. So I'm just letting you know I already have my Mongo instance running or daemon running. You could have it however you want. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is go to .env, and in here we're going to be adding a environment variable for, I'm gonna just call this dev underscore db db underscore dsn, and we're gonna set this equal to MongoDB colon / local host port 37017 or whatever port you routed it to. And we're gonna call this we're gonna give this Twitter. Should we just say Twitter? Screw it, man. I'm gonna say Twitter. Anyways, yeah, now that we have this environment variable, we do need to connect to it, obviously. So what I'm gonna do is make another file, new file. I'm gonna call this db.js. And here, we do need to install Mongoose. So clear cd server npm I mongoose, and in here const mongoose is going to equal require mongoose. There it is. And I just want to do module.exports.connect. We're going to set that equal to, we're going to make this async DSN. We're going to be passing a DSN, that's why DSN. And what do we want to do with that DSN? Well, we just want to say mongoose dot connect to the DSN we provided, and then use new URL parser equals true. And if you get warnings, then we'll just fix those right along this. All right, so I just created a new file with db.js because I want my database things located in one file, which is db.js. Okay, so now inside of config, we want this to be somewhat global. So inside of config, what I'm gonna do is just have a database property. So database property, and we're gonna set this to an object because we could have multiple databases for MySQL and Redis. So we're gonna say DSN, or we're gonna say Mongo and make this another one, and then I'm gonna say DSN, and we're gonna have that process dot env dot, what do we call it again? That right there. I'll just copy this, paste, and then don't forget my comma right there. All right, control save this. Now that we have in our config, what we want to do now is actually go to bin run and actually connect to our what's it called, database, Mongo database. And since we are using a process environment variable, or we're going to be reading a process environment variable right here, what we want to do is, do we have dot? Yeah, we have dot env. So we want to require the dot env and then dot config and be done with that. And also we do need to include the DB file that we just grabbed or created. So I'm just do it right here. Const DB is going to equal require out1 side lib and DB. And now we could actually use it. I'm gonna use it right down here. All right. But first of all, we don't want a server listen right off the bat. So I'm gonna just assign this const port to a variable. So that way we have that as a variable. And then where we want to listen is once we connect to MongoDB. So db.connect. And then we want to grab the config.database mongo.dsn. Remember, we're passing in a connection string, which is database mongo.dsn. And then once that happens, we're going to have a .then. So we're going to just log .info connected to MongoDB. And then this is where we want to server.listen, since we already are connected to it. Server.listen to the port we just set up upstairs, right? Oh, there. And then if we do have something wrong with it, we're going to do a .catch with an error, and we're going to do log.fatal with the error inside of it. Control save. All right, so all this is just to connect to our database. So now what I'm gonna do is npm start, and we should have connection to our database, which we do right there. And as you can see right here, look at this pass option. So what we're going to do is just grab this, grab that, go to where is that? Oh yeah, lib db, and in here paste, control save, and there we go. We got that deprecation warning away. All right, so now that we have Mongo up and running, what we want to do is actually create a schema for our user. All right, so that way we could save our user we grab from Passport. Now what I want to do now is in server, I want to create a new folder called models. Now this is pretty basic. We've like everybody does this. All right, so new file, user model .js, and here this is where we're going to create our model or schema, right? So we do need to const mongoose. It's going to equal require mongoose. Okay, and now down below we're going to say const user schema, just making sure that's how you spell it. Mongoose dot schema, and then we want a name. We want the type to be a string, and then we want this to be required, so required true. And also we're not going to set a min length because because we're doing it by Google via Google. If this was a login form, then yeah, we will want to do a min length, at least I guess you could say, if you want a name, right? All right, next up is the email, and we want this to be type string, and we also want it to be required. And obviously we want this just for good measure, even though Google already does this for us. We want unique to be true as well. And also what like I said, just for good measure, we want to trim this, so trim true as well. Now I keep on saying obviously, but honestly, I don't know, dude, that was the weirdest laugh I've done. But yes, if this was a login form, you would want to do validator and the min length and all that stuff, right? You won't want to do more to this schema if you were using a login form, right? But since we're doing Google, authenticating by Google, Google does this for us already, so we don't have to worry about it. All we need to do is just grab the name and the email, all right? And then lastly, but not least, we're done with this. What we want to do is say const user is going to equal mongoose.model. Now we're going to create a model off of this, and we're going to name our model user, and we're going to be using the user schema that we just created on top, and then we're going to say module.exports user. Like that. All right, now we have a user model, and we're going to start using this sucker. All right, so we're going to be using it inside of auth.js because this is where we actually grab our profile, and this is where we need to create a new user from the Gmail profile that they gave us back, right? And we could actually just look at what's given back to us, okay? So let's actually run this. And let's go to localhost/auth/Google, and let's pick on web dev journey, and we still get that dumb ID. We need to fix that as well. But let's see. So right now we could use the display name, and here's our emails right there, and verified true. I'm just looking at if we could add anything else, which I don't think so. All right, so this is what we could use, right? We could use the display name that they give us and the emails that they give us as well. So that's what we're going to just pick out out of this profile that they give us, right? So instead of this now, what I want to do is just say const data. We're going to set this equal to name, and we're going to make the name be equal to profile dot display name. Yeah, this is where you get the display name, right? And then we also need that email. So email, we're going to set that equal to profile dot emails. Yes, dot emails. And since emails is an array, we're going to grab the first property, which is this right here. We're going to grab 0, and since that's an object, we could just grab the value from that. All right, that's basically it right there. We have the email and name, or name and email. Now what we want to do is we need to query the database to figure out if we already have a user for this, right? So first of all, what we need to do is actually install or grab our const user and make that equal require require, and then we grab that model. So it's out of directory into models/user model. Okay. All right, so over here, like I said, we do need to find it. So user dot find one. Yeah. And since we don't really have a ID, a Mongo ID that we could pass in, we need to do it by another way, a unique way, right? So we're going to be doing it by the email, because we already know that Google gives us an error if there's a duplicate email or you're trying to create an email. So email is actually unique. So we're going to be using this email instead of an ID, because we don't have an ID to go off of, right? So what I'm going to say is data.email. Oh, and by the way, what am I doing? We're going to query where email is equal to paste. Ah, damn it. Well, data.email. And then what we get back is actually an existing user. Oh, what's happening here inside of there? And by the way, guys, this, I'm actually grabbing it from Passport. We could actually look at passport.js, passport.js right there. Let's go to strategies, Google strategies. And they actually do a pretty good explanation on this part anyways, right there, right? User, find, or create. They use find or create, but I don't want to. We're going to use find one. You can do it like that as well. but I'm just showing you that they also have that documented. So anyway, so I'm gonna just check if we do have an existing user, what I want to say. And since we don't have logger installed here, we're going to do console.log, and we are going to be adding logger, but not right now since we're just trying to get this done, right? And in here, I'm going to just say existing Google user, just like that. And then what we want to do is just say done and pass in null because we don't have an error, and then pass in the existing user if we actually have it, right? So this is all if we actually do. We don't really save it. Since there already is an existing user, we found them, so we're just passing that to the serialize, right? Now, if there isn't, what I'm gonna do right here is return done. Now, so that's if we have an existing user. If we don't, then what we want to do is just say const user. We're gonna set that equal to new user. Since we're using the user model, we need to create a new user and passing in the data that we got up above, the name and email, right? And now we want to say user.save. And then after they save it, we're going to get a user back. And it's basically going to be the same thing right here, right? Copy, paste, Google. I'm going to say saved new Google user, and then null, and then existing user, right? So this is the .then, and then I'm going to say .catch. If there is an error with this, what we want to do is say error, and then just log, console log error. All right, that's it. And we're going to do the same catch.catch. So grab this for this then. So yeah, it's right here. Paste that, and there you go. Now, since we did, since we are passing in a user, a mongoose or a Mongo user, we do need to update our the way we serialize this user, right? So now that we're having the whole Mongo, meaning the name, email passed down to this user right here, all we want from that user is just the user._ID. We don't want, well, you can have it if you want to, but we don't want everything being saved inside that cookie. All we want that cookie to know is that the user ID, our Mongo user ID, right? That is it. We don't want that cookie to have the email or name. There's no reason for it, right? Since we could look up the user by their ID. So that's what we're going to be passing in instead when we serialize it, right? So that way we could encrypt the user._ID and save it into a cookie. Now, for deserialized user, this is going to be, this is going to be different, okay? So instead of user, obviously we're getting an ID back, and I'm gonna make this async, and then I'm actually going to have this wrapped in curly braces. Now get rid of this. So remember, deserialize is going to attach that user object or user property inside the rec. So we're going to have rec.user, and what we need to do is actually find that user in our database, so that way we could have that user information in our rec.user, right? So I'm going to say try, and then catch with an error, and if there is, we're going to say return done with the error. Since error is the first property, we'll leave it like that, right? Okay, now try. What we want to do is actually, well, is it going to be the same thing as up here? Well, all right, screw it. Oh yeah, okay. Where is it at? Where we actually find right here. User.find this right there. So I'm gonna say const user is going to equal user dot. It's not going to be find, but it's going to be find by ID. Since we have their ID, remember, we're passing it in, and we're passing just giving it that ID. And then don't forget to do the exec. And then once we have that user, what we want to do is return done with null, and then the actual user that when we got back. Now, once we do rec.user, we're going to have their whole user profile, and you'll see that once we actually do this one more time. So let's control save this now, and then let's actually connect to our MongoDB so that way we can see what's going on, right? So we're gonna make a new connection. So click on create right there, create. I'm gonna name this Twitter underscore or Twitter clone localhost, and this is 37017. Save that, connect, and we have a Twitter right there. And we don't have nothing for, wait, we had to use, oh, okay, we don't have users. Okay, good. Because I was like, wait, we have users? No. All right, now we have that connected. Let's actually try to save a user. So let's open up our thing. Let's go to localhost 8080. Hopefully this works, man. I really do hope so. Web dev journey. Unauthorized, which is not good. Something went wrong. Let's see what's going on. Well, we got saved Google user, which is, I guess, a good thing. Oh, I know what went wrong. Right here, look at this. Return done and then existing user. I forgot to say, put this as the user, the one we got up here, right? So user. Oh no, wait, that was, wait, hold on. Yeah, okay, user, yes. Okay, yeah, okay, no, I was right. So restart this, and let me actually, let's do it again. Okay. So we actually got that. Where is that at? Where is it at? We got a console log. Okay, save new user. So let's log in again, and this time it should say existing Google user and then return the existing user. This time it should say that since we already saved it, right? So let's try log in one more time. 8080. Not 8080. 8080/auth/Google web dev journey. Oh, there we go. Whew. That was my problem. Sorry about that, guys. But look at this. Now we have user and then the ID, the Mongo ID, the name, and the email, which is all good. All right. Now if I go to localhost 8080, we should still have that. We don't. Let's see what's going on there. So go to routes, index. Oh, by the way, look at this. It does say existing Google user, and we should return that. But now I'm just wondering why we're not getting our user from rec.user. I should probably check if we have that cookie. I'm pretty sure we have that damn cookie. Application. Yeah, we do. We have that cookie. So why is it not? I don't know why it's working, but let's not worry about that right now. It should. I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong, but let's not worry about that right now. All right. Now what we want to do is actually save our users. I mean, not users, our sessions into Redis, because like I said, if our server crashes or restarts, we lose that session. We don't have that session persistent. So that's why we have a session store, so that way we can save it into a database. So yeah, we're going to be using Redis for that, obviously. Dude, that's really bugging me. That's not working. Oh, I see. Oh, wait. We need to await this before we actually send it off. Damn it. Okay, let's try it one more time. This should actually work now. Let me /auth/Google. All right, yeah, we grab it. Don't worry. Localhost 8080. There we go. Okay, now that's working. All right, now let's focus on Redis and making it work, right? So what we need to do is actually run, not this, but we need to run Redis. And I already have a Redis instance right here, but I'm gonna create another one with you guys. So what I'm gonna do is run. I'm gonna say Redis. I should have left that. Redis. And then -Twitter. I'm gonna get my ports. 6379, and I'm gonna port it. I'm gonna port that to 8379, and we want to run Redis. All right, now if you do, we got Redis Twitter and Mongo Twitter, and everything's running just great. All right, now we have Redis running as well. So what we need to do now is actually install something that's going to help us connect to Redis. So for that, we're going to be using, let me get rid of these things. Control C, yes. No, yes. There we go. Clear. No, no clear. Yes. All right, clear. Clear. Dude, why? Clear. Whoa, dude, my computer's acting really weird. Okay. So now what we need to do is npm. Dude, this is not working as expected. Why is it not working? Let me see. Let me create a new one. Get rid of this one. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now we want to do is npm I. We want to use connect Redis to connect to Redis, obviously. Connect Redis. And remember, connect Redis is for our session storage or session management, right? For our store for sessions. Now that we have that, we do need to incorporate it in our app.js, since this is where we define our session. So up above, right below the session, I'm gonna say const Redis store is going to equal require connect, there it is, Redis, and we're gonna need to pass in the session as well. And down below, we do need to include that. So right here, we're gonna add a store, and we're going to assign that to a new Redis store. And inside this, we do need to give it the actual client of Redis, which we don't really have yet set up. We haven't connected to our Redis database right now, but we're going to be setting this up in a way. So client, and I'm actually going to be setting that up in config.redis.client. Actually, config.database.redis.client. Okay, there we go. Control save this. And now in our config index, we want to add a new thing. So database right here, we want to add a Redis options. And inside this, we're going to have options. And you'll see why in a sec, because we need to pass in options into the Redis client. And what 8379, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was. So control save that. And then in our bin run, this is where we're going to be connecting to our database. And the way we connect it, we need to install another module, is Redis. So connect Redis is for our store, our session store. That's what connect Redis is for. And then Redis, wherever it is right here, is actually to connect to our Redis database. So right above, const Redis is going to equal require Redis. Control save. Okay. Just making sure I spell everything right. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to just get rid of these white spaces. The reason why is because we're using our Redis inside of client. So we need to connect to Redis before we actually grab our app.js, right? So we need to do it right here, right between this. So that way once we connect to Redis, app could use the Redis client, and there we go, right? So what I'm gonna say is const Redis client is going to equal to Redis dot connect or create connect or create client. Create client, and then config. We're gonna give that the options, the ones we created. So config.database.redis.options. because for options, you could add a lot more options than just port. That's why if you want to customize even more, just look at Redis docs and then Redis client dot on ready. What we want to do is just log dot info. It's going to be right here, connected to Redis. And since we're doing in our, where is it at, app.js, we're actually assigning it to .redis client. So I'm gonna copy this, and down below what I'm gonna say is a config.database.redis.client is going to equal to the Redis client, the one we just created, right? And that's it. So we control save this. Let's go to np. Dude, did I install Redis? Are you serious right now? That's why, man. I need a cd into server, and then npm I, and then Redis as well in here, not in my main directory. Oh my god, I gotta do some cleanup after this. But anyways, npm start, and we should, there you go, we're connected to Redis, and so that I could see what's going on inside Redis, the database Redis. We installed it in some videos back, a few videos back. Redis commander, I'm gonna be using Redis commander. So the way you could do that is, I'm gonna add another one right here. You can do npm I redis dash commander dash g, so that way you can install it globally, and the way you use it is redis commander dash redis dash port, and we got the port 8379, no, 8379, and this should give you, there you go, this is the place. So I'm gonna control click that, open it up, open this up, and then open this up, post it right here. Now you can see that I have two of them. Obviously I have another one running. So 8379 is the one that we want, and don't worry, once we have a session, we don't have a session. I'm gonna disconnect from this one. Okay, we don't have a session right now, but this is where we're going to be able to see what's going on in our database, right? So let's actually do this one more time. Everything should be working, right? So I'm gonna do localhost /auth/Google. Let's sign in. We got that sign in. Let's go over here. Let's refresh, and you can see that we have a session stored. All right, and you're gonna see that our user is B39D, and if you go to over here, we got B393. This is the user that we're passing in, right? Just the ID. Like I said, this is the cookie that we're saving, and this is the cookie that's in our browser, and the only thing that we want from this is our ID, our user ID, right? Which we do have it. Now, if I go to localhost 8080, we should still technically have it, right? Now, the point for the Redis client, like I said, was if we ever decided to restart this, let me actually restart it. If we restart it, why can't, oh, that's why. If we did ever restart this, we will lose that session, right? Because it was in memory. But since we saved it into the database, now that if I restart it, let me actually go back to the page. If I refresh this, I should, look at this. We still have our user because that session is now persistent. Now you understand why we have, where is it at? Now you understand why we have our store, to keep those cookies or sessions persistent throughout everything. Now if our server crashes or restarts, no matter how many times it restarts, it really does not matter. As long as we have that Redis session stored in Redis, every time I refresh the page, I'm still going, look at this, I'm going to grab my correct user, which is awesome, 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 right guys? So that was it that was it guys for this video. I was talking too fast, I know that, but all this we've been over with already. I'm just redoing the basics. So we saved our user, and we actually saved the session into Redis, and that's all I wanted to do in this video. Now, since we completed this somewhat of a feature from the back end, we're going to be making that feature in the front end now, right? So I want to have that, I want to do it that way, this series in that way. Once we complete a feature, we're going to have that feature in the front end, right? So that's going to be in the next video, guys, making this feature in the front end, just a basic login button. That's it. And we're going to figure out how to keep that persistent in the front end as well, right? So thank you guys for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate you spending your time watching my videos. I really do. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Stay tuned for that one, because that's where we're going to start doing React.js. And like the video, subscribe, and comment down below on what you thought about the video. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.